Magandang araw mga kaibigan. Ito po si Nico Fabian. Once again, nandito po sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Today is August 22 na tayo po, Friday. Thanks God, it's Friday. And tuloy-tuloy ang mga istorya natin po tungkol sa Pilipinas. And via is only through this Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, na malalaman ang kababayan ko po dito sa Malaysia, particularly dyan po sa Sabah East Malaysia, and very specific dyan po sa Kota Kinabalu. Si Nico nandito pa rin sa Kuala Lumpur, and I'm still doing something dito po. And of course, while I'm here, I will continue to give you ang mga latest updates po. Mga latest updates natin tungkol ang sitwasyon, ang mga breaking news dyan po sa Pilipinas. Dyan po sa Pilipinas. And of course, mga overseas Filipino workers, I would like to invite all of you. Join me po dito sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Kung nasan man kayo, outside the Philippines, nandito lang palagi po si Nico Fabian to give you ang mga updates. I might not be sabihin natin, the first one to break the news, but definitely, you will get the news po through this program, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. Okay? Diretso na tayo po sa programa natin, mga topics natin today. Hindi marami, but I think this is very important topics that we're going to discuss. Isa po, yon sabihin natin, ang statement made by the Undersecretary dyan po sa Pilipinas, spokesperson ng Presidente Marcos natin, si President Bongbong Marcos. And ang undersecretary niya po, spokesperson niya po, si Madam Claire Castro, wherein she mentioned during the press briefing yesterday po, na failure na po si VP Sara or Inday Sara Duterte sa trabaho niya as Secretary of Education last year when she was appointed to head the education department dyan sa Pilipinas. Na may reply tayo po from Inday Sara Duterte, and later on, during this program, I'm going to share with you ang video clip na I managed to prepare para sa inyong lahat, ang explanation of Vice President Inday Sara Duterte, of which he doesn't agree that as the Education Secretary of President Bongbong Marcos, she failed to do her or carry out her duties and responsibilities. What Inday Sara was saying that during her time as the Secretary of Education, she did her level best. But unfortunately, hindi siya she was not able to do everything for the good of our students, no? Diyan sa Pilipinas, dahil po may problema po between him and the administration of Bongbong Marcos. At the same time, mayroon din siyang banat kay President Bongbong Marcos po tungkol itong issue na failure na po. They claim Malacanang na si Inday Sara failed to be effective education secretary. And at the same time, we'll also be talking about itong sitwasyon po sa Pilipinas kay Pastor Quiboloy, wherein I was made to understand, and it was announced officially dyan po sa mainstream media sa Pilipinas, that may extradition request ang United States of America kay Pastor Quiboloy, who is now detained dyan po sa Pilipinas po, no? Sa Pilipinas. And I'll be touching a little bit on that thing later on. And of course, I will not forget ang issue natin po, no? Very still hot issue po sa Pilipinas regarding ang corruption sa Pilipinas, especially this flood control programs in the Philippines, where we saw not only millions, but it is billions of taxpayers' money are being pocketed by irresponsible lawmakers, irresponsible politicians, irresponsible, greedy government officials po, and of course other civil servants po. I will be talking about this thing, and of course masaya tayo po. And I'm expecting, I myself is expecting a very, very fruitful 20th Congress natin po this term. We have neophyte Rodante Marcoleta, who chairs the Blue Ribbon Committee ng Senado po, and now investigating this anomalous transactions dyan po sa proyekto ng flood control projects po by the billions. And we are also happy, and I'm very happy to see that we have senators, no? Senators like Senator Ping Lacson, who is now back in the Senate po, back in the Senate, as well as Senator Tito Soto, also back in the Senate. They won in the midterm election last May po, and they are very, very serious in looking into this anomalous activities dyan po sa Pilipinas, especially ang mga proyekto ng flash control projects natin po. And of course, they are very concerned also about this, itong 2026 budget po, no? And of course, they don't want to forget what happened ang 2025 national budget, which the Philippines, authorities, politicians, no, lawmakers, they describe the 2025 national budget as sabihin natin as the worst corrupt national budget po ever in the history of the Philippines. Yan po. These are the issues, excuse me, that I'm going to be touching. Alright, to start with, punta tayo po. Punta tayo sa explanation ni Inday Sara Duterte on the allegation that she failed to do her duties and responsibilities as former education secretary. And let me share you itong footage po, no? Mayroon tayong dito footage, and kayo na bahala po, no? Kayo na bahala to make your opinions, or your mga opinions ninyo po regarding itong issue. Nandito po, let's listen to Inday Sara Duterte when she was interviewed, just recently. I don't know, is this in Paris ba ito? Because from Kuwait, she went to Paris and also meet the overseas Filipino workers in that country po. I don't know kung saan itong interview, but anyway, what is important is this was being shared in social media, and I would like to say thank you very much for sharing the interview with the followers sa social media natin po. So let's listen to Inday Sara Duterte. Inday Sara Duterte. Sandali po. Okay, ano tayo ang volume? Okay, nandito na po. Let's listen to this. Alright, sandali, Okay.
Sara Duterte. Vice President Inday, the palace said your time as DepEd Secretary was a complete failure. This stems from your statement that the country remains at a paper and pencil in comparison to other educational system of other countries which are modernized. What is your response to that now?
Thank you, Alvin and Teresa, for this opportunity to speak and explain my side. Unang-una, masabi ko yon na we are truly behind sa education system natin compared to more developed countries around the world. And that is true. That is an observation. That is a fact of the Philippines. And I have all the right to say kung ano yung katotohanan ng bansa natin. That is covered by the freedom of speech and expression natin. So, dapat siguro walang magalit. Kasi yun naman yung katotohanan ng bansa natin. Saan ba tayo magsisimula mag-isip ng mga mga solusyon kung hindi natin tanggapin na merong problema yung bayan. Pangalawa, hindi ko maintindihan saan nanggagaling yung total failure ako as a Department of Education Secretary. Kasi iba yung actions ni BBM noong ako ay nag-tender ng resignation. Kung maalala ninyo, that was June 19, 2024. It was a Wednesday. Matagal ko na pinag-isipan yung pagre-resign. Inisip ko na kapag mag-resign ako, habang nasa administration ako, inaatake ako. Pag nag-resign ako, dodoble yung atake sa akin. Posibleng mag-file ng impeachment case sa akin dahil September 2023 pa lang pinag-uusapan na yon. So, matagal ko na hawak-hawak yung resignation letter na yun. Matagal ako pabalik-balik sa Malacanang pero hindi ko talaga pa naibigay. Pero noong June 19, 2024, doon ko na isip na yun ang pinakatamang panahon na ibigay ko na yung irrevocable resignation ko. Kasi merong meeting sa Malacanang about opening of classes na hindi naman dapat na umaabot sa level ng Pangulo pero meeting ko no para sa kung kailan magbubukas ng klase. So after nung meeting, nag-request ako kay President Marcos if I can have a few minutes of his time. Meron lang akong ibigay sa kanya na sulat. So ang ginawa niya, sinabi niya, so ano kasi yun? Meron silang reception area, tapos papasok ka sa isang room. Doon sa room, doon ginagawa yung meetings nila. Merong conference table. Tapos pinapasok niya ako sa isa pang room doon sa loob. Nagmukha siyang office na may table, may office table, may lounge, merong living room. Doon niya ako dinala. Meron pa isang conference table. So, tinanong pa nga niya ako hindi ka pa nakapasok dito? Sabi ko, hindi. First time ko ito nakapasok dito. Tapos nagkwento pa siya na, nung panahon ng tatay ko, ito parang kung saan nag-gather ang mga tao. Tapos, gusto niya daw yung view na yun doon, kaya ginawa niyang office. Sabi ko, okay, kumanan lang ako. And then sinabi ko na sa kanya, may dala ako na letter, ibibigay ko sa'yo. Tapos binigay ko sa kanya. And then, nung binasa na niya, ang sabi niya, why? Tanong siya sa akin, bakit? Tapos sinabi ko sa kanya, ayaw ko na pag-usapan kung bakit ako mag-resign. Para sa akin ba, kailangan mo ba itanong yun? Hindi mo ba nakikita kung ano yung ginagawa ninyo sa akin? O parang hindi naman ako masokista na aatakihin ninyo ako nang aatakihin habang nagtatrabaho ako para sa inyo. And to think na the Department of Education was the department that was delivering results sa administration. So, hindi na ako sabi ko, ayaw ko pag-usapan. And then sabi niya, he tried to ask me to stay. Tapos sabi ko, ayoko na. And then, ang sunod niyang ginawa, inofera niya ako, may gusto ka ba na posisyon? Sabi ko, wala akong gustong posisyon. Tapos ang sunod niya sinabi sa akin, pwede ka ba tumulong sa midterm elections para sa mga senators? Sabi niya, kasi di ba yung pugpong ng pagbabago, kasali naman yan sa unity noon. Ganun siya. Sabi ko, hindi ko, pag-iisipan ko, pero wala pa akong plano para sa 2025 midterm elections ng senators. So, clearly, lahat ng sinabi niya, magstay lang ako as Department Secretary o DepEd, na sinabi niya, gusto ko bang lumipat sa ibang posisyon. Sabihin ko daw sa kanya na sinabi niya, pwede ba akong tumulong sa midterm elections ng 2025. So, hindi yun actions ng taong tumitingin as failure ako. Action yun ng taong tumitingin na kailangan niya yung trabaho ko.
Alright, yun po, si Inday Sara Duterte explaining po ano nangyari talaga when she submitted her irrevocable resignation as the DepEd or Education Secretary po. Si Madam Claire Castro, Undersecretary po, during the press briefing, sabi niya po na ang Malacanang feels that she's a failure as Education Secretary po. No? So, yon ang answer ni Inday Sara Duterte. I totally agree with Inday Sara Duterte. Once you submit to your bosses, for example, ako po, if I want to resign from my position po, no, from my job, so I will submit my irrevocable resignation letter. And kung ayaw na talaga ang boss mo sa'yo, no, your boss is not happy with your performance, and maybe you have working attitude problem and blah 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 blah. So the most that your boss will say is expected na yan po, no? The boss will say, you see, medyo but since this is your decision, then I cannot do anything else. You made up your mind. So the most that I can say is thank you very much for being with us. You're sharing your time, serving with me in my administration, and maybe I will wish all the best in your next endeavor. No? Next endeavor po. So, ibig sabihin, it will make a clear message po. It will give a clear message that I did not do my job as expected from me by the company po. So, that's normal thing to happen po. But if that thing, if on the contrary, your boss will tell you, can you please consider it? No? Can you please consider it? Just, stay put first. No? Stay put first. Or else, do you want another position? I can give it to you. You want another position? And thirdly, nakingi pa si BBM kay Inday Sara kung pwede magtulong si Inday Sara Duterte in the forthcoming. That was May 12. May 12 ba? May 13. Midterm election. Kung pwede pa siya magtulong sa kampanya ng mga senador ng administration po. Kung talaga she did not or the president believes that she didn't do her job properly po, no? O wala siyang confidensya or confidence kay Inday Sara Duterte to continue as Secretary of Education or maybe give another post, no? Hindi na siya mag-offer yon po. Yon mga positions and favors that Bongbong Marcos, sabi natin, extended, offered to Inday Sara Duterte. Firm na firm si Inday Sara Duterte or the Vice President when she submitted her irrevocable resignation po. It means decided na siya po that she doesn't want to play any part in the Marcos administration. So yun po ang explanation po. Ang explanation. That's why she said she's also blamed why this Claire Castro, Undersecretary Claire Castro, mentioned this in the press briefing po. Now, with this explanation of Vice President Inday Sara Duterte or the former Secretary or Education Secretary Duterte, siguro na po ngayon si Madam Claire Castro will realize po. Maybe she was given wrong information, or maybe she did it. She did it intentionally. For reasons we don't know po. Because the way how we look at, or how I see, ako na po, the way how I look at Madam Claire Castro po, parang she's the attack dog of President Bongbong Marcos. The way she talk, ang body language na po. And I agree that many Filipinos do not like her. But anyway, yun na po, na posisyon siya po ngayon. And she's trying to please her boss. Kaya nga po, she act this way. Remember, Claire Castro before getting this position, she went left and right kay President Bongbong Marcos or ang administration ni Marcos Jr. po. But now, nandoon na siya po sa kabila, and this is what she's doing. Anyway, it's up to her. The Filipino people knows who is she and knows who is right and who is wrong. Yan po. Okay, let me share you another one. Another footage po. Still the same interview of Inday Sara Duterte. And this time around po, may banat. May banat si Inday Sara Duterte kay President Bongbong Marcos. Grabe ang banat po. Grabe ang banat po. Some will say it's personal, but again, she said she's just telling the truth. She's just telling the truth what is happening in the Philippines. And kayo na bahala po. Kayo na bahala, no? What is important is I managed to share this video clip sa inyong lahat po. So at least you will have an idea. Especially ang mga kababayan ko po dito sa Malaysia. Especially mga kababayan ko po dyan po sa Sabah East Malaysia, particularly sa Kota Kinabalu City. Let's listen to this. Let's listen to this.
Pag-alis ko, nagbeso-beso siya sa akin. This was 10:25 or 10:30 in the morning. Sa oras ko. Hindi lang ako sigurado sa oras. Yes, tama. Kasi ito yung pumasok sa isip ko eh. Tama yung oras ko. 10:25, 10:30. Amoy alak siya. At kung ako ang pahulain, kung ano yung alak na yon, whiskey. Pero, hindi ko naman siya nakita nag-inom ng whiskey. Nakikita ko siya lagi umiinom ng champagne. Pero amoy alak siya at 10:30 in the morning. Doon na-confirm yung decision ko na mag-resign. So, hindi ako ang failure. Siguro, ang failure is yung 10:30 pa lang ng umaga, amoy alak ka na.
10 minit pa rin.
Alright, yun po ang statement ni Inday Sara Duterte. 10:30 pa lang po in the morning, amoy alak ka na. Amoy alak ka na. For me, yeah, okay, amoy alak, no problem. But para sa akin, kagaya ako po, no? I made it a policy po, ako, especially ako po, being a journalist. I make it a point, kung may importante meeting ako the following day, especially if the scheduled meeting is in the morning po. I will discipline myself. I always discipline myself. I am not going to drink tonight because there is a very special meeting mayroon ako bukas. Pangit yun po. We go to a meeting, hindi lang po amoy alak tayo, but baka mayroon pa tayo hangover. The moment mayroon tayo hangover, how can you think properly po? Wala talaga. You won't be able to think properly po. Ako yan po. It is me. My style is like this. If there is a very important meeting or coverage that I'm going to cover the following day, hindi talaga ako mag-inom po in the evening. in the evening po. Para bukas, when I wake up, I'm very fresh and ready to attend that meeting. And I don't want that, ang participants ng meeting will smell me liquor or amoy alak ako po. Yon ang ayaw ko po. Even ako, this is my case. Even ako po, when I cover evening functions, media evening functions po, dinner or whatever, no? Now, normally there will be serving food and liquor, alcoholic drinks, no? I always make it sure na I will not take even a single drop of alcohol habang I'm still covering ang function. See? Normally, when we cover media functions po, at the end of the event, mayroon pa tayong press conference. And that is for this reason that I don't want to drink before the press conference, because it might disturb my way of thinking. And at the same time, amoy alak ka na eh. And when people will smell you amoy alak, mayroon na silang dalawang isip. See? Whether you know what you're questioning, see? Or dahil sa liquor lang yun, you are questioning or putting up these questions. Especially mga politicians, mga ambassadors, prime minister ka, or ministers po. Mahirap na yun po. Although I see some of my friends, my colleagues in the media, whenever there is this function, they always tell me, Nick, come have a drink. Or it will not mag-disturb po talaga sa'yo po. Sabi nila, Nick, if you take a glass of beer or a sip of whiskey or brandy or whatever po. But I myself, discipline myself, no. Only after my work. So yun po. Ang sitwasyon na sabi ni Inday Sara Duterte, ang Vice President po, na nagbeso-beso pa before they parted away after submitting ang letter of resignation of Inday Sara Duterte as the Education Secretary po, ng beso-beso pa si Bongbong Marcos. And during that time ng beso-beso po, that's the tradition of the Filipinos, no? We kiss left and right, no? Before we go or when we meet each other. Na-smell si Inday Sara Duterte na amoy liquor. Nothing wrong. She did not say it's wrong, no? So what she was saying is, naamoy siya po. Na para sa akin, medyo, I do not agree with that kind of idea po. Drinking, the night before your meeting, especially if your meeting is very important. And ano ba yung meeting nila po? Ang meeting nila, according to Inday Sara Duterte, they are talking about the when to officially open classes po, dyan sa Pilipinas. So yun lang po ang opinion ko po, and that is how I look at the statement of Inday Sara Duterte. And about ito si Inday Sara Duterte, Vice President Inday Sara Duterte, explaining that she's not a failure sa pagka-secretary siya ng education. I also agree with her. What for you continue working with somebody if that somebody is not happy with you? Every good thing that you're going to do po, definitely they will not appreciate. They will find fault. They will capitalize whatever mistake that you do only to put you down. So that was a good move of Inday Sara Duterte. Para sa akin po, that was a good move. Alright, I'll show you another video clip na naman dito po. I think, ano ba ito? About Claire. Madam Claire, nandito po. Let's listen to this.
Magandang araw, Malacanang Press Corps. 0% President R. Marcos Jr. na nag-umpisa na ang zero balance billing sa mga DOH hospitals sa bansa. Ilang linggo matapos niya itong ipangako sa kanyang ika-4 na State of the Nation Address o SONA noong July 28. Umabot na sa halos 15,000 patients ang nakapag-avail sa ilalim ng nasabing programa. Ayon sa Department of Health, nasa 12,000 patients ang naka-avail sa Eastern Visayas Medical Center. Samantalang mahigit 2,400 patients naman ang naka-avail nito sa East Avenue Medical Center simula noong SONA. Sa ngayon, mayroong 78 DOH hospitals na ang nakapagpapatupad ng zero balance billing kasama na dito ang East Avenue Medical Center. Sa kanyang mensahe sa East Avenue Medical Center noong Martes, hinikayat ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. ang mga pasyente na mag-avail sa programang ito at ipaalam sa buong bansa upang hindi na magdalawang isip ang taong bayan sa pagpapaospital. Nitong Lunes, binigyan diin ng Pangulo sa kanyang pagbisita sa Eastern Visayas Medical Center sa Tacloban City ang kahalagahan ng pagkakaroon ng mas maayos na implementasyon ng zero balance billing upang maiwasan ang kalituhan sa pagitan ng DOH hospitals at mga pasyente. Nilinaw ng Pangulo na walang dagdag na bayad, walang dokumento at wala nang kailangan pang gawin ang mga pasyente upang makapag-avail sa nasabing programa sa mga DOH hospitals. Tututukan na lang ng mga pasyente ang pagpapagaling. Kasabay nito, muling binigyang pansin ng Pangulo ang pagsusulong at pagpapalakas ng healthcare system sa Pilipinas. Kabilang dito ang pagkakaroon ng mga doktor sa bawat lungsod at bayan sa bansa. Ayon sa Pangulo, ang presensya ng mga doktor sa kada lungsod at bayan ay isang mahalagang aspeto upang masiguro ang kalusugan ng bawat Pilipino. Sa kanyang nakaraang SONA, binigyan diin ng Pangulo ang hangaring palakasin ang healthcare system at siguraduhin makakarating sa taong bayan ang serbisyo at programang medikal ng pamahalaan. Sa Ormoc City, namahagi si President Marcos Jr. ng 124 Patient Transport Vehicles or PTVs na gagamiting ambulansya. Kabilang sa mga lugar na unang beses na magkakaroon ng ganito sasakyan ay ang mga bayan ng Abuyog, Haro, Ananga, Matalom at Santa Fe sa Leyte. Samantalang sa Samar naman, nagkaroon ng mga PTV sa unang pagkakataon ang mga bayan ng Pulan, General MacArthur, Salcedo, San Policarpio, Lapinig, San Vicente at Silvino Lobos.
Alright, yun po si Madam Claire Castro, ang spokesperson ng Malacanang po. One of her press briefing po. I totally disagree. I totally disagree what she just mentioned in the press briefing. Itong zero balance billing is not true po. It's not true. I receive a lot of messages from my kababayan dyan po sa Pilipinas, as well as ang messages coming from kababayan ko po dito sa Malaysia, dyan po sa Sabah is Malaysia, dyan po sa Kota Kinabalu. And I have seen, since I am monitoring daily po, ang monitoring ko po mga news dyan po sa Pilipinas. And to be specific, I can pinpoint you one public service program po, morning public service program. Ang idol ko po, si Ted Filon and Chacha, DJ Chacha po. No? Ilang beses, everyday po, nakikita natin po. No? May mga kaso dyan. In fact, I think 2 days ago, mayroon silang babae doon po na needs to go for operation. Dyan po sa Manila, operation po. Government, DOJ hospital, government hospital po. May mga good Samaritans sa labas ng nasyon natin or sa bansa natin po. They donated. They managed to raise 30,000 pesos for the operation of that, she was a 50-something-year-old a woman. I forgot anong operation that she has to undergo po. I think this week. Okay. There is no such thing as zero balance billing. Kung totoo ang sinasabi, ang Malacanang, ito si Undersecretary Claire Castro, na sabi daw ni President Bongbong Marcos, wala na kailangan na documents or any other papers po. Just focus lang daw ang mga pasyente sa sakit nila to be treated. Wala nang problema, bayad sa hospital po. That is not true. That is not true. Ako mismo po. Ako mismo po. I have my own relatives who went to the hospital, seek for medical attention or treatment po. There is no such thing as zero balance billing. Mga kababayan ko po dito sa Malaysia, yun mga kababayan ko po who send me this messages po, no? Just confirming that there is no such thing as zero balance billing, no? Call your punta kayo po sa sumbong sa Pangulo. Let us inform the President that we don't believe that there is such thing as zero balance billing. Wala po. You listen to the program ni Ted Filon and DJ Chacha po. Sila mismo din po na-confirm na ito, zero balance billing. Zero balance billing po. Wala po, unfortunately. Tama na yon, no? Ang mga trying to show a picture that the Marcos administration is very concerned about the Filipinos and all the pledges that they are pledging. Ang mga promises po, they fulfill it po. Tama na yan po. There is one thing now, ngayon, ang corruption sa flood control projects po. Sabi ni Presidente Marcos, alright, heads will be rolling. Heads will be rolling. But until now po, maski isang pangalan na lang po. I don't think so si President Bongbong Marcos was not given information maski isang pangalan po involved ito sa corruption po. Buti pa, I'm not favoring, I don't want to compare. Buti pa si former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Ang drug list niya po, metrics niya po, he identified. And bahala ng mga tao, and bahala na those involved or mentioned in the list for them po sa Pilipinas. Diyan po sa Pilipinas. Ito na po, no? This is a very big problem. Anyway, sige lang, tuloy natin ang ligaya natin, ang mga news natin dito sa programa natin, Nick Talk, Real Talk with Nico. And mayroon pa tayo dito po. This is Toby Chanko, no? Regarding the budget. Regarding the budget po. Let's listen to this interview po by Dilong Take. It's a public service program sa television po dyan sa Pilipinas. And interview si Madam Regina interviewing Congressman Toby Chanko po on the issue. Nandito po. Let's listen to this.
We are sitting down with Congressman Toby Chanko, who's been waging war on transparency and accountability. We'll get to that later. But first, let's talk about your news of the day. Si President Marcos did a press con, which is a rarity for him, talking about the flood control projects. One of the most striking slides for me there was yung ginuxtapose niya yung most flood-prone provinces sa the ones that get the most number of projects. Wala din yung Metro Manila sa provinces that get the most projects. What did you think when you're...
Wala dun yung Metro... Okay.
Wala dun
Metro
yung...
Manila, nasa panlima siya sa most flood-prone provinces, di ba? So panlima siya. Pero dun sa kahaba-habang listahan, nung mga nakakakuha ng pinakamalaking pondo
Wala siya
sa
doon.
flood control,
Yes.
wala yung Metro
Correct.
Manila. Kaya nga talagang dapat magkaroon ng investigasyon, di ba? Bakit nilalagay yung mga flood control na pondo doon sa mga probinsyang hindi naman kasama sa pinaka-flood prone o pinaka-binabaha? Hindi lang Metro Manila yan, no? Kahit yung iba doon na nandun sa flood prone, hindi sila kasama doon sa nakakakuha ng pondo. So yan ang talagang dapat tignan.
And you're familiar with this because Navotas is below sea level, di ba?
Yes. But syempre, ayoko masyadong sabihin na yung Navotas hindi masyadong nakakakuha kasi baka sabihin nila, kaya lang ako nagreklamo, it's because of that. No? It's really the big picture. Kasi dito naman sa Metro Manila, hindi mo naman mahihiwala yung Metro Manila, di ba? Dugtong-dugtong yan.
Correct. But
the issue there as well is how can Congress be the one to investigate itself over the flood control projects? I mean, sino ba yung pinaparinggan ni President Marcos when he said mahiya naman kayo?
Kami.
Yeah.
Kami. Kaya nga unang-una akong
Tumaya.
ayun, di ba? Kasi alam ko, finally, sinasabi ng presidente na dapat ang imbestigahan. Finally, meron tayong presidente, nandiyan si BBM, kauna-unahang presidente, na nagsabi dapat imbestigahan ang flood control projects. At kauna-unahang presidente na nagsabi na, though indirectly, na kami yung kasama dun sa dapat imbestigahan, di ba? Kasi kung titignan mo, ano ba yung simula nung kanyang pagsabi? Sabi niya, initiative, errata, SOP for the boys. Yung initiative, it is a term used in Congress, di ba? Kasi Congress lang naman ang makakuha ng initiative. Yung initiative para sa ating mga kababayan, yan po yung pag-amyenda. Ang tawag po nila doon is initiative.
Yeah.
Yung amendment sa batas, yung pagbawas sa isang departmento at paglipat sa isang departmento, initiative ang tawag doon. Yung errata, masyadong abusado kasi yung word na yun eh. Yung errata is error, di ba? Kung may pagkakamali,
You strike it out.
you strike it out. So, kung may maling spelling, maling description, errata. Yung abuso doon sa small committee at saka doon sa BICAM, lahat ng bagong proyekto na wala sa NEP, pinapasok nila na errata. So, magtataka kapit ang dami-dami, puro errata. Okay? So, wala namang for the boys, wala namang SOP kung hindi naman napondohan yung proyekto. Kaya nga tuwan-tuwa ako. He is the only president na
Who said that? Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
But he's halfway through his term. I mean, are you telling me that he didn't know that there was a flood control problem from the very start?
Hindi. Alam mo naman na nakita naman natin, di ba, yung 2025 budget is described by a lot as pinakapangit, pinakagulo, pinakakorap na budget, di ba? So yun ang pinanggagalingan. Kaya nga, pabalik-balik ako doon sa ano ba yung pinalitan ng 2025 small committee ng 4 na tao ni Chairman Saldico, Senior Vice Chair ng APRO, Majority Leader at Minority Leader. Ano ba yung pinalitan nila doon sa NEP na naging age gap? Kasi di ba, madami nagsasabi lahat nakatuon doon sa BICAM.
Yeah.
Pero yung BICAM is pangalawang pagkakataon na para mag-amyenda. Yung
First stage is the small committee.
yes, doon sa House.
Okay, let's name them.
Let's name them. Ito na po, si Representative Toby Chanco, no? Also, he mentioned about, bakit po? You put a lot of flood control projects in an area that is not facing acute flood flash problem po. Sa Manila po, problema talaga yun po, no? Pero bakit in other areas po, no? Naglagay ang mga proyekto. So, something fishy there. So, hanggang ngayon po, what the good with Representative Atiaco, independent congressman ito po, no? No matter, whether we like it or not, this is a relative of the speaker, si Speaker Martin Romualdez. I think the wife is related to Representative or Speaker Martin Romualdez, ang wife ni Toby Chanco po. Yet, he doesn't care. He doesn't care po, no? And he's calling for the speaker or any other congressman to come out and let's name ang mga tao po involved itong sa kalukuhan anomalous projects, no? Since 2022 hanggang ngayon po. So, maganda din. Mayroon pa rin. Hindi lahat ng mga congressmen natin dyan po sa 300 plus House of Representative or lower chamber po are corrupt. Hindi lahat po, no? mayroon din matalino, mabait, and honest and sincere in carrying out their duties and responsibilities. Mayroon din mga pangalan lumabas like Representative Saldico, allegedly that he is involved in some hanky-panky activities dyan po sa House of Representatives in itong mga awarding of projects po. But until proven, beyond reasonable doubt po, then yun na po. Sa ngayon po, we cannot say na guilty na siya. Anyway, another one that I'm going to share with you, maybe this will be my last video clip for today, na totoo ba na some of the congressmen natin po involved sa mga projects or they violated ang policies, rules, and regulations ng House of Representatives or ang laws ng bayan natin po, the Philippine law, Constitution, mayroon ba? I'll give you a very good or glaring example po. This time around, let's listen to the incumbent mayor of Manila, Metro Manila po, and I'm referring to Mayor Isko Moreno. Very known mayor ito po, no? He just won in the midterm election po dyan sa Manila. And let's listen to Mayor Isko Moreno or Yorme. Many people call him Yorme. Nandito po. Let's listen to this.
Pwede bang mag-demolish ng walang demolition permit?
Ito ang mga tanong ni Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso kay Manila 3rd District Representative Joel Chua. Kanina, ipinag-utos ni Manila City Mayor Dumagoso ang pagkakandado at pagkumpiska ng mga heavy equipment at iba pang mga kagamitan na pang-construction sa isang bakanteng lote sa Alvarez Street, corner Avenida Rizal sa Barangay 334, Zone 3. Ayon sa Manila LGU, dating covered court ang naturang lote na nagsisilbing satellite offices ng City Hall na nasa pangangalaga ng Public Recreations Bureau. Pero iligal itong giniba upang bigyang daan ang proyekto ni Congressman Joel Chua. Ayon kay Mayor Isko, hindi ito maitatanggi dahil mayroong pangalan ang kongresista sa proyekto. Ilan-anya sa tinanggal sa lugar ang daycare center at mga opisina ng senior citizens. Naghihimutok si Mayor Isko dahil wala anyang permit mula sa lokal na pamahalaan ang proyekto.
O ngayon ay challenge Congressman Joel Chua to investigate himself. Sinabi ko na sa inyo may gobyerno sa lungsod ng Manila and it is called City Government of Manila, not City Congress of Manila.
May babala naman ang alkalde, hindi lamang kay Congressman Chua, kundi maging sa iba pang mga kongresista na nagpapatayo ng mga proyekto sa lungsod na walang kaukulang permit.
Kung hindi sila hihinto sa pangabuso nila, sa kanilang kapangyarihan, papapanagutin ko sila. Hindi ako, no hard cause ako sa kanila. Sa totoo. May gobyerno na sa lungsod ng Maynila. Anong araw, baka nagagawa nila na bobola-bola nila yung mayor.
Kinukunan na ng UNTV News and Rescue ng reaksyon si Congressman Chua hinggil sa insidente at inaantabayanan ang kanyang ibibigay na pahayag. JP Nunez.
Alright, yun po ang video clip that I wanted to share with you po. It's a glaring example na even our congressmen, lawmakers natin po violated policies, laws, regulations ng gobyerno. A very good example po. So let's wait ang explanation ni Congressman or Representative Chua. Joel Chua ba yun? And meron pa, isa pa yun, problema dyan po sa Metro Manila, District 2, Congressman din po, may issues, no? And hindi lang sa Manila, other parts po, ang dami din po, no? Mayroon mga complaints. And this is what I'm saying, na sana lang po, ang presidente natin, si Bongbong Marcos po, will be serious enough to change his words into action po. Kailangan na po talaga action po. Mayroon na lang 3 more years na lang kay President Bongbong Marcos po. The last 3 years, 2022, 23, 24, 25 po, the Filipino people are not happy. So for him to rectify and leave a legacy before he will step down dyan po sa Malacanang, mayroon pa siyang itong 2025, half of 2025, 26, 27, and then may presidential election tayo po, general election sa 2028. Mayroon pa po. So, sana lang po, he will keep his promises po. Hindi lang promesa ng promesa. He will turn his words into action po para at least maganda ang pangalan niya when he step down as the President of the Philippines come 2028. Ano ang sitwasyon po sa Pilipinas? So, okay. Siguro hanggang dito na lang tayo po. May other things that I have to attend to. May mga responsibilities pa din tayo. But once again, I would say, hold on lang tayo po. Ngayon, may pag-asa na tayo po. Nakikita na natin na may mga senador ngayon sa upper chamber, no? Kagaya ni Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Mayroon tayong senator, the returning senators, si Tito Soto. Mayroon tayo si Ping Lacson, no? And pa sila Senator Padilla, Bongo, no? Na maganda din ang we see ang performance nila. But there is only one thing, no? I just want to share this observation sa mga kababayan ko dito, sa follower ko dito pa sa TikTok, The Real Talk with Nico. I was just wondering, no? Mayroon tayo mga congressmen dyan, mga senado dyan po. 2 terms na sila sa Senado as a senator. Mayroon na tapos na ang first term nila, 3 years, and then they are now entering for the last 3 years po, no? Now, hanggang dyan na lang ba sila? To say only, I support the privileged speech of Senator Ping Lacson? What did they do? Since day one po, nagiging senator sila po. And then ngayon, nag-expose na po si Senator Ping Lacson. Itong mga, what is happening dyan po sa flood control programs po. Did they do something? Did they exerted efforts? No? Since, let's say, last year pa po, I doubt if they don't know this thing, what is happening. Hindi ba sila nag-isip, bakit balik-balik na lang itong problema natin sa Pilipinas, sa Maynila, ang flood problems natin po? Hindi ba sila nag-check ang mga budget, ang mga projects po, o nagtanong sa Department of Public Works and Highway? Ano nangyari? Bakit? Why is it has to take a returning Senator, Ping Lacson, to expose this thing? Yan lang sa akin. Bakit po? Why? Ping Lacson won the election May 12 or May 13 ba yun? Election. May, June, July, August. Hindi pa kompleto ang 3 months po, no? Being a senator, elected senator po, no? But he started doing his job, no? He started doing his job, investigating, sent his staff, his people to investigate. Na yun mga ibang senador, nandyan na po, 3 years na or second term na po, 9 years na po. What happened to them? Ano nangyari? Ano nangyari po? And now, mayroon po ngayon na investigation now about the 3 tatlong senator involved in this ang Quadcom daw, no? O Quadcom ba yun? Or they will be investigating. There is a proposal to investigate itong mga senators who receive donations from contractors. And clearly, nakita natin po, as what the Senate President was saying, demolition job ito po sa kanya, si President Chis Escudero po. Dahil, this is the problem po. You go against the administration, this is what you get. They will be filing cases against you. Yet, sabi ni President Bongbong Marcos sa mga media, wala na ba tayong investigative journalists? Now, if we are going to investigate, then cyber cases will be filed against us and blah, 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 blah. Ganon ba yun? Bakit? Ang presidente, kayo mismo po. Diba? You know who are the people. Your own relatives siguro po, or your own business associates po. You know them. And I'm aware, and I know that you know, maybe not all, but the things that they are doing which is unhealthy or involved sa corruption. So siguro po, in the meantime, hanggang dito na lang tayo po, Friday ngayon. And tomorrow is weekend holiday na tayo po. I wish each and every one of you, ang mga followers natin po dito sa Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, I wish that you will enjoy ang weekend natin. I also would like to greet si Noel Flores Ratingson. Thank you very much for watching itong programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, on a Friday afternoon. And Mary Lu Pentodio, Ruben Castillo, ang mga followers ko ngayon is watching sa Zamboanga, sa Cebu, sa Basilan, and sa Kota Kinabalu. So, as what I said, hanggang dito na lang tayo, and I will continue to monitor what is happening dyan po sa Pilipinas, and kung mayroon anything very important po, I'll make sure that you will be properly informed. You'll be properly informed. Make sure lang po, subscribe ang channel natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, dahil I will continue to do whatever I'm supposed to do po, so that in mga kababayan ko dito sa Malaysia, West Malaysia, sa East Malaysia po, you will be properly informed. So with this, I would like to say once again, thank you very much for making me a part of your day today. Malaysia, Sabah, the Philippines, God bless us all. And I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.